The chair lays out Senate Bill 263 and recognizes its author, Senator Mene, to explain the bill. We do have one invited testimony. That's Mercedes Bristol. And Mercedes, if you're on the floor, great. If you're not, please make your way down. Senator Mene, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Ms. Bristol is with us on the floor. Thank you for hearing this important bill. Around the state, we have relative caregivers, such as grandparents or other next of kin, who are stepping up to take care of children. Many times, these individuals take this responsibility on, even though they're on a very limited and fixed income. These families are forced to rely on their existing sources, retirement, Social Security, or surviving spouse's benefits. Without any additional safety nets, many families are forced to struggle to make ends meet and to provide for children they did not expect to have to care for. Not only do these kinship caregivers keep the child from being placed into our foster care system, it allows the child to have a sense of familiarity, family, through what is typically a very chaotic time in their lives, and we know that they do better than in the foster care system. Senate Bill 263 would allow all kinship caregivers who are relatives, specifically adult siblings, aunts, or uncles, to be able to receive the monthly temporary assistance for needy families payments which grandparents are currently eligible to receive. It also would change the eligible age requirement from 45 years of age to 25. This would allow for brothers and sisters to care for their siblings when a parent is unable to do so. Members, when children are moved from their custodial home and to next of kin or a grandparent for temporary custody, is often done at the expense of that caregiver. This bill would make sure that the child gets to stay with family while ensuring that caregivers are supported. And if anything we've learned during COVID, our foster care system can't handle any more kids. I'm constantly on the phone with Commissioner Masters about the fact that we don't have space, that kids are sleeping in intake centers. So if we can help kin take care of kids, let's do that. It's just, in my opinion, a common sense bill, and I appreciate you setting the bill for a hearing. And, you know, if there are worries, there is no fiscal note on this bill. Oh. And it doesn't make anyone under this group, anybody eligible for TANF. And so I think, really, we would do the right thing, and we'd do well by doing the right thing for so many citizens and future citizens. Well, these little kiddos are going to grow up, and we're going to have to take care of them someday.
Senator Menendez, you and I have worked on these issues together for a long time, and we continue to work on them. And you're right. When we remove a child from a home, we need to find the best setting. And I have been very passionate about that in the past, but even more impassioned this session about how we're treating our children and making sure that we get them to the correct setting. And so kinship is a very good alternative. Especially when the kinship is capable. I know that I've dealt with a lot of families in my district. It's an affordability issue sometimes. It's very expensive to have children. We know that.
Yes.
No matter the age.
Yes.
You know, when they're younger, they need lots of care. When they're older, they eat a lot of food. And so I have a son right now that eats a lot of food. Yeah. And so anyway, I thank you for bringing this forward, and we look forward to working with you on this.
Yes, thank you. Formula and diapers are very expensive.
Yes, that too. The chair calls Mercedes Bristol. Mercedes, welcome. And while we're waiting on that, next on deck would be Senator Bentoncourt, and then we'll start to move to the committee members that are available on the bills that they have filed and are having a hearing today. If you would state your name for the record, who you're with, and your position on the bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Senators. My name is Mercedes Bristol, and I am a grandmother that has raised and adopted 5 grandchildren. I've I've had them now for 10 years, and I still remember that day when I got the 5 children, and it was right before Christmas Eve, and it was December 22nd, and I got a 3-month-old baby, a 3-year-old that was suffering from malnutrition and failure to thrive. And then I had a 6-year-old that his behavior was undescribable. And so I had a 7 and a 9-year-old. And later on, as time went by, I found out that the behavior of the 6-year-old happened to be, he had ADHD and post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I didn't know how much trauma these children had gone through. It was the 3rd removal that they had from CPS. So the emotions that the grandparents go through, or caregivers, I think mostly grandparents, because we can't fathom the fact that our children are not taking care of their own children, right? And now they're placed in our home. And we're not prepared for that. I was 57 years old working for my retirement, and now I have 5 kids. And like I said, they had been removed twice before, and I've had them before, but they were always going back to their parents or to their mother. And these are my son's children. And so at this time, I had to hire an attorney because CPS would insisted to reunite them, but I stood my grounds and said, if they don't get help, you cannot keep putting these children through trauma. So that's how I got custody of the kids, and I ended up adopting them. But one of the things that I remember is I didn't have a place they didn't have a place to sleep. You get 5 kids, no formula, like Senator said, no diapers, so you have to run. I had to go get 2 car seats. I had no beds, so the children were sleeping on the floor. And I was working towards my retirement, so I didn't have a whole lot of savings. I had been divorced just barely 4 years and still going through that. I had lost my mother the year before. So there's a lot of emotions. I went through a depression for about a month, and I had to get on medication to be able to cope with the fact that now I'm raising children again. And when it went through the whole year and a half, and so I ended up, like I said, getting custody and adopting them. But the financial is very important. I now have a nonprofit called Texas Grandparents Raising Grandchildren, and the stories we hear is, we have an 82-year-old grandmother raising 7 children on her Social Security, and she's not entitled to TANF because the parents are not paying child support, and they denied her for TANF. So I applied for TANF, for the one-time TANF, and they denied me because my vehicle was over $1,000 in resources. So I didn't qualify for TANF. And so I wasn't able to get the kids' beds, and I had to go get a credit card and put everything on, get in debt for that. So my car was 6 years old, and it had been paid for. So the other thing that we have is the monthly payments for TANF. It's, $97 a month? And right now, we had a grandmother that had TANF. Her car broke down. She went to redo her certification for TANF. Well, she was denied on the certification because she was over the resource limit for TANF. It's, I think, over $1,000. So I think these bills really need to be, I support the bill because it's a very, very, we are saving the state a lot of money by taking these children and not getting any support. However, like we said, the foster care is not able to do it. And there's a lot of grandparents having to hire attorneys and get further in debt just to protect these children.
Thank you, Ms. Bristol. Thank you for your testimony this morning. We appreciate it. And thank you for your service to other grandparents and people taking these beautiful children that have been displaced.
Thank you.
We will leave Senate Bill 263 pending until later. Senator Menendez?
In closing, I just want to say, if you could see, and Mercedes and her grandchildren have been in my office many times with other grandparents, if you could see her grandchildren today, you would understand why we need to do this for other grandparents. Thank you.
I can see she's a very strong person and has done a wonderful job raising those grandchildren, I'm sure. It is the chair's intent to leave this bill pending until we take public testimony later in the hearing.